Leading the defense of the White City, we have the Steward of Gondor, Denethor, alongside his heroic son, Boromir. These two formidable leaders stand ready to protect their homeland at all costs. Facing them is the menacing Lurtz, commanding his savage Uruk-hai scouts. With their brute strength and cunning tactics, they pose a dire threat to the defenders of Minas Tirith. Will the courage and wisdom of Gondor's finest be enough to thwart the advances of Isengard, or will Lurtz and his scouts carve a path of destruction through the heart of Minas Tirith?
Hi, and welcome to Point of Might, a YouTube channel dedicated to Middle-earth strategy battle game. My name's Nathan, and today I've got a 600 points battle report. This battle report was timed, and it was competitive. We were both trying our hardest to win. Elliot is leading the forces of Minas Tirith. He's got Denethor, Boromir with a lance, and Hurin. And I've got the Lurtz Scout Legendary Legion. Lurtz, of course, being the leader, and I've got Ugluk and Mauher in there as well with a lot of Uruk-hai. Just want to say a quick thanks to everyone who's watched our first video. We've managed to pass 100 subscribers with just that one video, which I'm absolutely amazed with. There's been a lot of comments and a lot of likes on it. I do read every single one. One thing I did notice on the last video, a lot of people were asking to see the actual dice rolls. So on this video, I've implemented that, and me and Elliot do roll the dice rolls on the camera. Although I do want to apologise, quite often the dice roll goes off camera, or it hides behind a tree or a bit of scenery. I will call out what the roll was, so you still get the result. But yeah, sometimes you don't quite get to see it, so I do apologise for that. I have, in the meantime, since I've been looking through the footage, made myself a little dice tray. So the next one we do, all the rolls can be put into the dice tray, so we definitely know they're caught on camera. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
What's up everyone, my name's Elliot Joyce. Today I'm Nathan's opponent. I'll be playing Minas Tirith. Nathan's a very, very good player. He's bringing a very strong Lurtz Scouts list that'll have superior movement, superior shooting, superior fight, and superior strength. Nathan should also probably have more models than I will. So I'm going to rely on my big hitters, my big characters to try and do some heavy lifting, try and get some heroic combats off, and try and kill a few models a turn to try and apply the pressure. I do know Nathan is very, very good with his Lurtz Scouts. Has won many games just on movement alone. It's going to be a really tough ask. I'll be playing Boromir and a knight, Hurin with a knight, Denethor with Men of Minas Tirith with sword and shield, and Rangers with spear. Hopefully I'll be able to get a few shots off. Try and kill his boars, make him come to me, and then really take advantage of my big cavalry models.
So for today's battle, I've got Lurtz's Scouts. I've got Lurtz himself with his shield. See if we get a chance to throw it at someone to use the Legendary Legion's bonus, being able to use that shield as a throwing weapon once per game. I've got the drummer and Mauher to get those movement buffs. Everyone base moving 8 inches. The drummer able to drum us up to 11 inches and can stack march on top of that. Ugluk there is a second striker and his ability to keep us around if we do break. Do have 40 models in the 600 points, so you've got a high model count. They are strength 4, there are a lot of them. There's no spear supports though. They do hit hard and they do move fast, but being defense 5 max on the warriors with shield means they do die very fast. Elliot is fantastic at commanding his Minas Tirith. They look great and they're definitely going to win the line-on-line combat. So my game plan is to use that movement to outflank, to outmaneuver, to get around the back and to cause some traps. As everyone who plays Middle-earth strategy battle game knows, if you get those traps, you'll get the win. The first roll-off of the game goes to Lurtz Scouts on a 2. The deployment for Clash by Moonlight is anywhere within 12 inches. Both Minas Tirith and the Lurtz Scouts Legendary Legion form lines 12 inches from their board edge. The priority roll for turn 1 goes to good. Minas Tirith take that and push the army forward, keeping close to the terrain. Lurtz and his scouts spread out, keeping some archers back on a hill, but start running down that eastern flank, with the drummer drumming, giving that extra 3 inches of movement. Priority for turn 2 goes to evil. Lurtz's scouts taking it. No heroic actions are called, so it moves straight to the movement phase. I was happy with where those Uruk-hai scouts with bow were. I have the better archery, so Elliot needs to come to me, given we're playing Clash by Moonlight. I also want to make the most of the Clash by Moonlight rules, where I get the +1 to wound from any shots fired, although they have to be within 12 inches. So I march some of the Uruk-hai up. I've sounded the drum, so they're going that extra movement. Almost to bait Elliot to come and attack that front line. Keep the heroes safe by keeping them behind that front line, and eventually move that drummer all the way to the back so that he's just affecting a few of the archers. And really lay the gauntlet down. Keep pushing that eastern flank so that's going right up the side, but trying to get Elliot to run to me. In Elliot's movement phase, he starts moving his shield wall up, coming in to hit the lines of the Uruk-hai. The Rangers of Gondor, being the spear supports in the back, bring the fight 4, which means Elliot really does want that shield wall to come to bear and to fight my front line. If they do, he has the 2 attacks from the spear support and the Warrior of Gondor in front. At strength 3, hitting defense 5, they are still looking for 5s, whereas I'll have my Uruk-hai, yes, he's got strength 4, he'll only have 1 attack, again wounded on 5s. So Elliot is really pushing that shield wall up. He needs those lines to hit. He's keeping Denethor safe at the back, which is a wise move given there is leader VPs, although he does have Hurin. He carefully measures out some of the shots from the Uruk-hai scouts that are coming around the side with a bow to keep Hurin safe. He's kept his 2 rangers on that hill stationary, so they are hitting on 4s. Lastly, he moves Boromir, keeps it very centralised, ready to go either side wherever the fight may take him. That's going to bring us into the shooting phase. First of all, we have some Uruk-hai scouts taking a few shots into those rangers on the hill. Needing 5s as they moved. We get 2 hits. They're going to need 4s to wound because of the +1 from Clash by Moonlight, taking 1 of those out. Coming from the western flank, we've got 4 shots that all hit into the lines of the Minas Tirith. They then all don't do any wounds. Fantastic. Lurtz now takes his shot at Hurin, hits on a 4. He then goes through the first rank, gets through the second rank, up or down on the horse. It hits the horse, rolling to wound. It doesn't wound. Elliot then replies with some of his Rangers of Gondor, all going into Lurtz. The first round of shooting with Knowing the Ways misses. The second round of shooting all has an in the way, I believe. He gets 1 shot, hits. It goes through the Uruk-hai in front of Lurtz, but it does fail to wound. Elliot's last shot for that ranger on the hill hits. In the way for Mauher, goes past him, gets into Lurtz, needing a 5 to wound. Gets the wound. Lurtz throws a fate, and he's unwounded for now. The priority roll for turn 3 goes to the Forces of Good. There's no heroic actions that are called. So Elliot, with his Minas Tirith, starts moving forward, really applying the pressure, getting really close to the Uruk-hai lines. I was quite happy to lose that priority, and I was quite happy that Elliot pretty much had to move forward and try and force the issue. He's trying to use that terrain a little bit to kind of box me in, but like I said, I was happy to lose the priority because now I can see exactly where he's going, and I can get the most out of those bow shots, which I really need to start getting me some kills to start putting some damage onto some of his heroes. Hopefully, take out a horse or two would be ideal. Elliot is definitely mindful of this, though, keeping Denethor very safe behind those 2 ranks of warriors of Minas Tirith. And the other side, Madril and his warband come forward to try and block off that gap, so I can't run through that gap and get round the back of his lines. But like I said, this plays into my strategy. I can see where he's going. I've got the movement, so now I've got the decision of, do I just run forward and let the lines clash? As I mentioned before, that's not what I want. I want to pick him off. I want to pick the heroes off, and I want to pick and choose my fights. So losing this priority has given me a real opportunity to do that. As you can see, Elliot has a bit of a think as to which side he wants his heroes to go on. He places Hurin quite close to Denethor. Again, playing off that special rule that he's got means that I'd have to get through both of them to get the leader kill VPs. Madril goes right round the side with a knight, and then the other knight comes across over here, shielding off. We've got those Uruk-hai on that eastern flank that are just off camera to the right there. First, Elliot thought keeping all the heroes together, putting Boromir that side, but he does change his mind and decides he's probably better off going around the other side, keeping that might bubble over there, and there might be an opportunity to break through there too. There's a little bit of manoeuvring round and measuring, just making sure that that knight is outside of charge range from those Uruk-hai scouts. Now it comes to Lurtz Scouts movement phase. I'm looking at that flank and thinking, yes, we've got a chance to jump on Madril. So with the movement, one of the guys from in the centre moves across and takes out the control zones of that warrior of Minas Tirith. And the rest, this little warband here, surround Madril, trapping him in there, putting him in a really dicey situation. I was surprised when Elliot put him out on the flank by himself, and I'm trying to take full advantage of that. That bowman just steps back a little bit just to stay outside of 6 inches, and this is where the kind of bait move, switching tactics come into play. The runaway tactics, or the forest gumpons as I like to call them, whereby that line of Uruk-hai, I just run back. I keep them outside of the 6 inches, so that next turn Elliot's not going to be able to charge me if he gets priority again. But the most important thing is his line is now within 12 inches of all of my archers. So those on the hill stood still, they'll be hitting on 4s. The rest of the other archers I tried to keep to only move in half so that they can still get a bow shot off, even though they're hitting on 5. The rest of my heroes, Mauher and Lurtz, just get hidden behind this bit of terrain, using that bit of terrain as a little bit of a choke point, just so that he can't get any models through. I know eventually Elliot's force would probably break through, but given the amount of bow fire that's going to come down on them, they're going to really struggle. Just off camera as well, I totally forget to move Ugluk. I think I forget to move Ugluk about 4 turns in this game before he makes his first move. For whatever reason, I put him in some terrain and just totally forgot about him. But he stays safe, and that's enough to get us some VPs. Onto the shooting phase. Elliot has a shot with that Ranger of Gondor. He's going to shoot at those Uruk-hai that are chasing him down. I believe he didn't move, so he should be hitting on a 3. Next up is the 4 Uruk-hai Scouts with bow on the hill. They're targeting Denethor and Hurin with a priority on Denethor. They stood still, so 3 hit. And the first round of In the Ways, they all go through. The second round of In the Ways, 1 hits one of the back rank. So we take a wound roll on him first of all. And that's a wound. The 2 shots that have gone through, so the first is going to prioritise Denethor. 6 definitely gets that wound on Denethor. So the next shot is going towards Hurin. Up or down, hits his horse. Fantastic, just what I was after. With a strength 3 bow, only needing 4s because of Clash by Moonlight. The 5 does it. Throne Rider test for Hurin, and he's fine for the rest of the turn. But really important getting that wound on Denethor, taking Hurin's horse. Absolutely fantastic. The next 2 shots come from the scouts between the hill and that bit of terrain. These have moved. They do prioritise Boromir, trying to get his horse. Unfortunately, both of those shots miss. The last round of shooting from the Uruk-hai scouts is the west flank. Again, targeting Boromir, needing 5s because they moved. It goes through the first rank, goes through the second rank. So we get this one into Boromir. It goes up, hitting Boromir, needing 6s to wound. We don't get it. Last shot, same thing, into Boromir, and that misses, unfortunately. Brings us to the combat phase. Elliot's roll was off camera, but the warrior of Minas Tirith wins the fight, and then secures the kill on that Uruk-hai scout. We then have Madril's fight. Madril rolls his 6. Only being fight 4 means we have a chance. We don't get the 6 though. Madril then rolls and wounds and kills one of the scouts. Priority for turn 3 goes to Lurtz Scouts. We use this priority to run around the back and to give Elliot a lot of decisions to make. Does he stay and fight back to front? Or does he keep pushing forward to try and get into those heroes? Remember, the VPs in Clash by Moonlight come from the leader kills, leader wounds, the break, and the heroes alive at the end of the game. This is playing entirely into my hands. There's not enough models there for him to rip through to break me, but the pressure is on both Elliot's leader, being Denethor, already being wounded, and the fact that I'm right there with some Uruk-hai into some of his heroes. Up that eastern flank, we totally trap that ranger. We've got a few shots coming from round the back now. And then back on this western flank, 1 Uruk-hai scout charges the knight, turning off his control zones so we can get 2 into Boromir, really applying that pressure on Boromir. The rest of the force just hangs back. Really makes it so that Elliot has to commit either way. But I can still also get quite a few shots off into those lines, so I can still be doing the damage, even though there is no risk, and the Uruk-hais are all out of charge range. With that, Elliot does decide to push forward. In my opinion, this is probably the right thing to do. Like I say, he needs to either start munching through a lot of Uruk-hai with his big heroes, or he needs to apply the pressure onto my heroes to get some hero kills, or at least get a leader wound on Lurtz. He's very careful with the movement here, because he's creating a gap for Boromir to run through, providing his heroic combat, which he may or may not declare soon, goes off. Over here, he manages to get 1 warrior in there, just blocking that off, which is totally fine from my point of view. Like I say, that little choke point, he can't really get enough through on alerts that's going to cause enough damage. The rest of the models just charge forward, try to screen off some of those shots. But but it really is playing into my hands at this point. His whole Minas Tirith force is just stretched out, and they really want to be clumped together, fighting in that shield wall formation. But the fact that I've made him have to spread round to stop me from just getting around the back and running in and getting loads of those kills with the traps. He does throw Denethor into a couple of Uruk-hai here. At the end of the day, Denethor is still fight 5. He's still capable of fighting, and he's pretty good at it, to be fair. In the shooting phase, the Uruk-hai scouts on that hill take their shots into the ranges of Gondor down below, sensing that they have now got a clear shot into Lurtz, so trying to take out as many of those as possible to stop the arrows coming in to Lurtz later. Managed to get a kill, which is pretty good. The next few all have a couple of in the ways with those warriors in Minas Tirith. Some of them manage to go through, a couple hit some of those warriors, and we do actually get a wound and do get to take one of those out. Next line doesn't get the wound, so there's just that one that got through to the ranger, which sadly doesn't kill that ranger. Lurtz gets another go with his bow this turn, shooting at that ranger of Gondor. Hits on a 6, needing a 4 to wound. Oh, and the 4 flashed, but it lands on a 1. Nothing from Lurtz. The last Uruk-hai shot coming from the western flank hits that ranger, needing a 4 to wound, gets the wound, takes another one of those bows out of Minas Tirith. Minas Tirith then get to reply, scoring a hit with a first shot onto Lurtz. We couldn't decide if the grassy bank was enough of an in the way for Lurtz. We went with it would probably need a 3 up. It rolls a 2, so it doesn't get through. It wouldn't have wounded him either way. With his final shot, the Ranger of Gondor fires into the Uruk-hai scout with bow. He hits on a 6 in the way for the shield. He hits the Uruk-hai scout with a shield in front, meaning that he's going to need a 5 to wound. 4 does not do it. Takes us along to the combat phase. 2 heroic combats are called. The first goes with Madril and the warrior of Minas Tirith into the Uruk-hai scout with shield. The scout is shielding. They tie the fight on a 5. Madril spends a point of might to put that up to a 6, but he does fail to wound, which means the Uruk-hai scout simply backs away. The next heroic combat is that of Boromir's. Elliot was very clever and paired off the fight, so Boromir only had 1 to kill. The Uruk-hai scout shields and wins the fight, a 4 to a 2. Elliot, though, decides to spend 2 points of might. That's 3 points to make this heroic combat come off so far. He does get the kill. Next, we come to Hurin's fight. He's fighting 2 Uruk-hai scouts. Hurin only gets a 3 to the 4 of the Uruk-hai scout, so he decides to spend a point of might. With his Master Forge sword, Hurin only needs a 4 to wound. We then come to this ranger on the hill, trapped by 3 Uruk-hai. 6 for the Uruk-hai, the ranger also gets a 6, goes to a roll-off, and it goes to good. The ranger somehow survives, gets to make a strike at one of the Uruk-hai, and he doesn't cause any wounds. The last fight here in this portion of the battlefield is against Denethor. Denethor loses his fight against those 2 Uruk-hai scouts, where they are going in for the kill. The 5 on that dice does it, and that is Denethor down. Just Hurin to kill for those VPs. The last fight of the turn is Boromir. He blows the horn of Gondor, and the Uruk-hai fail their courage test, automatically losing. Boromir goes for his strikes, and yeah, he definitely kills those 2 Uruk-hai scouts. Turn 4 priority, a crucial one. We both roll a 6, which means it goes to the forces of good. Heroic moves are called. Evil wins the roll-off, allowing Lurtz and his scouts to run into Boromir to keep him pinned. That turns off Boromir's heroic move, which goes into the priority phase for good. Good now have a chance to get right in the face of all of those scouts. 2 going straight into Ugluk, which Like I say, I totally forgot to move him all game. He's just been stood there, chilling in the ruins, just minding his own business. And then a couple of warriors of Minas Tirith have ran into him. Let's see what he does in his combat. The rest of the battlefield, Elliot just kind of shewers up some of the fights. Madril goes straight back into that Uruk-hai scout. This knight comes along to this flank to help out. It's really kind of up against it for Elliot now. There's a lot of kills that he would need to get the break. Really, all of his kind of eggs are now in the basket of trying to get some hero kills. A couple of Uruk-hai scouts come down to help Ugluk, meaning he's in a 1v1, and there's a few Uruk-hai that have lined up some shots. The first go into Boromir's fight. Both of them hit, which is great to see. Now we have to see if they hit me or Boromir. One either way. On the Uruk-hai scout, it does not wound. On Boromir, we go up or down. It goes into Boromir's horse. There'll be times for Boromir's horse, but his horse is fine. Brings us to the combat phase. Heroic combats are called by Boromir and Ugluk, and Lurtz call the strike. The roll-off goes to good. Boromir fights first. The Uruk-hai scout doesn't have a shield, so he has to fight normally. Boromir definitely wins that fight. He now only needs 3s to wound with that lance. That is one dead Uruk-hai scout. As you can see, he charges straight into Lurtz. We come over to Ugluk's combat. Ugluk is now just on a 1v1 with that Minas Tirith warrior. He does have the higher fight and only needs a 3. He gets it on a 4. Ugluk wins the fight. That warrior is trapped. So Ugluk does have 2 strikes, all going into that warrior. The first strike, he rolls 3 high, and the second strike, only rolling a 2 high. So he decides to spend a point of might to make that 3 or 4, getting the kill, which means he can go and join that fight with Boromir. Puts him in a risky position, but adds the extra attacks to that fight, especially with Lurtz's heroic strike coming off. If he gets higher than Boromir, that could really be crucial. It all comes down to this, the showdown between Lurtz and Boromir. Boromir blows his horn of Gondor, and Lurtz stands firm. We then roll the strike roll-off. 5 puts Lurtz to strike 10. All looking good for the Uruk-hai. Boromir rolls, and he gets a 5 high. This is definitely achievable. We've got plenty of dice. Ugluk is now out of might, so we roll him in the same colour as the other Uruk-hai. Lurtz himself in the red gets the 6. Wins the fight against Boromir. Boromir is trapped now with Ugluk joining that fight. So we are going to strike blows into the horse first with the normal Uruk-hai, only needing 4s. Does not get it. The horse is around. Ugluk and Lurtz go straight for Boromir, needing 5s. We get 1 wound from the first set of strikes. The second strike's still going into Boromir. We then get another 3 wounds, and Lurtz uses his last point of might to might that up to a 5. That's 5 wounds into Boromir. He needs to pass all 3 fate rolls to survive, and great roll in Elliot, all off camera. I think 1 passed, but importantly, they all did not. And Boromir is killed, very thematically, by Lurtz. The last couple of fights to round off the game. Hurin fights first. He rolls his 6, so he automatically wins that fight. And he does kill one of the Uruk-hai in the process, which does mean that his special rule has saved those VPs from Denethor not dying, as this is the last round of the game due to the timer running out. The very final combat of the game, we've got that ranger who's been fighting all game long, staying alive, although continuously being trapped. However, this time, the last round of the game, he does go down to a barrage of attacks.
Wow, that was a tough game. Managed to seal the victory simply by running away. It's what the Lurtz Scout list does best, I believe. So it finished 4-1. 4-1 to Lurtz Scouts. Neither side got the break, although Minas Tirith, I believe, were 1 model away from breaking. I think Elliot was a bit gun-ho with Boromir at the end, but with us running out of time, he really wanted to try and get into Lurtz and secure that leader kill, which would have swung the game in his favour. So it needed to be done. The dice just didn't quite go his way, not being able to combat and strike on the same turn, where obviously you let Lurtz strike up, get the higher fight, and then with Uruk joining him in the fight, get the more dice, get the 6, wins it, and that's it, pretty much game over. Hurin's special ability did come into play, but didn't quite swing the VPs in Elliot's way. So we got 1 for wounding Denethor, because you still get the wound VP, you just don't get the kill VP if Hurin's still alive. Then no break, like I say, very close to breaking though. And then the actual Clash by Moonlight VP rule. Obviously, Lurtz Scouts, we killed Denethor. All 3 of our heroes were left alive, so Minas Tirith didn't get any in reply. So took another 3 VPs from that, and Elliot got the 1 VP for still having. I mean, he still had 3 heroes left in the game. But yeah, it was really fun, really enjoyable. I've played quite a few games now with Lurtz Scouts, and it's a funny list in that it runs really fast, and I think that's its main benefit. I know a lot of people think Uruk Scouts is better because it's got a lot more killing power. Obviously, you get the spear supports from the orcs, you get the +1 animosity if you can get them both in the fight with Uruk Scouts. You don't get that with Lurtz. But with Lurtz, you do get Lurtz as a character, so you do get a stronger leader. And the fact that everyone moves 8 inches base plus all of the march. I mean, I didn't need it in this scenario, but you've got all the march plus the drummer. You've literally, your whole army can go 14 inches in a single turn. But I think it's important knowing that that's not just a rush forward and just let the battle lines hit, but further up the field. You've really got to use that and kind of use a bit of strategy, kind of draw the opponent in and then swing around the outsides is what I like to do with it, what I tried to do here, and obviously make the most of the shooting. And I mean, having 13 Uruk-hai bows, yeah, they hit on 4s, 5s with the move, but straight 3 bows, 13 shots a turn is nothing to be sniffed at, especially in a Clash by Moonlight game where you've got +1 to wound. Really played into that, getting them archers on the hill and just taking shots, just firing down. It meant that Elliot did need to come to me. Obviously, we got that wound on Denethor with some shooting, so he really had to come and force the issue. Otherwise, I was just going to run around him, circle him in, and then get all the traps. So it really forces the opponent to think. But yeah, it's a fun list. It feels a little bad playing it, not gonna lie. Having that runaway tactics is a little bit gamey, but you pay the points for it, so you've got to use it, haven't you? Bro, well, yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for making it this far. If you did enjoy it, please do, like comment, and subscribe. It is really appreciated. We managed to get over 100 subscribers from that first video, which if you haven't seen, I'll link in the description down below. Go back and give that a watch. Really proud of that first one. Big thanks again to the Middlesbrough Games Club. It's a great venue, some great terrain. If you find yourself in the northeast of England looking for something to do on a Thursday night, get yourself down. And if you'd like to see some more of Elliot's fantastic painting, I've linked his Instagram in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time on A Point of Might. See you later.